I am ZW, and in this video, I will be making more of the Shinkenger figures after attempting to make the Blue Ranger in February. Something I dreamt about making back in 2018, and that's like 7 years ago when we didn't have the skills nor the technology to make it come true. I mean, even now when we do have some skills and machines, I would still like to take the opportunity to improve on it by trying out a couple new techniques that I've not done before, because there were definitely some things that I didn't like about the Blue Ranger, even though I say the white band I do feel is a little too thick, but it's fine. Clearly it's not fine, because I took him apart almost straight away and I will have to remake him. So while I try to figure some things out, like how to apply iron on vinyl and sublimation on fabric, which deserves its own video in the future, I first want to talk about how we can replicate an existing figure to create our own with the help of the Mini 2 scanner. Okay, imagine you bought a Power Ranger figure that is so good that it inspired you to make your own. So you thought, the Shinkenger series is pretty great. Let's make the whole team. So you bought a body and you wonder, how do I make sure that all the accessories would fit on this specific body? And that includes how big the helmet should be on the body, how tight the belt should be on the waist, how wide the boot cuffs should be, and how do I make sure that the pump and the feet fit perfectly onto the body. And then you look at the Power Ranger figure that you bought and an idea popped into your mind. These parts look really good. If only I could copy and duplicate it for my own figure. Well, great minds think alike, because those were the exact questions that I asked myself back in 2018. But it was impossible back then because scanners cost thousands of dollars. But now in 2025, Revopoint has already come out with a series of affordable scanners so that you can literally copy this into your computer. And by the way, they're having a Black Friday sale from now to the 7th of December, and just for you, my viewers, we have an exclusive discount code that can be stacked with the ongoing promotion. So link in the description if you are interested. So what exactly can you achieve with a 3D scanner? Well, basically, there is no longer a need for you to model things from scratch. If you like something, scan it, and you can use the scanned models to modify it and fit your own creations. And I don't know what you're gonna ask next. What about the things that we cannot scan, like the helmets? That is where everything comes together digitally, because we can buy 3D models from creators like Dzackers, who has a lot of helmets. I will talk about him a bit later. But after you purchase those models, you can 3D scan the body that you want to use, and it will help with the scaling of the helmet, because the scanner records the exact dimensions of the object that you scan, and that is how we can use a 3D model that was meant to be a life-size cosplay and scale it down to fit the body. There is no longer a need for trial and error. You don't have to print something and do a fitting and oh no, it's too small, I gotta reprint it. No, because you can do digital try-ons to have a preview of your accessories before printing. And that is also how we can do very detailed things like finding the exact hole to fit the pumps. So that's the overall uses of a scanner in the context of a 1/6 scale figure project. But why the Mini 2 specifically? Because it has blue light precision of 0.02 mm, which means it is the best scanner for small objects, which is perfect for 1/6 scale accessories. And I'm going to show you how easy it is to scan this small little hand. So my Mini 2 comes with a very nice bag and a ton of accessories. But the only thing that you need to know are here: the scanner, the stand, and the turntable. So you just have to connect everything with the wires that they have provided and you're ready to start. Place a desired object on the turntable and start turning. They do provide their own free software called the Revopoint 5, which is very good because all you need to do is press start. Scan the hand for one rotation, pause it, flip the hand over to scan the underside of the hand, resume scanning, and you can see that they have automatically detected the change in orientation and continue with the scan. Finally, after another full rotation, you're ready to turn this into a usable model. Now, if you're wondering, why do so many buttons on top? It doesn't matter, because you don't have to deal with any of it if you don't want to. All you need to do is to click the one-click generation and the software will do everything for you. And after a couple minutes, you will have a very nice scan of the glove. Now, the reason why it's empty in the middle is because this part is too dark. So if you want it to be scanned, you can put some powder on it and the scanner will be able to capture it. But for me, it doesn't really matter, so I am happy with it. So I spent the entire day scanning a bunch of parts. I scanned the leg calf of the white Dino Thunder, I scanned the shoes as well, and I scanned the body made by Maha. I also have a very nice model of the body with fabric for better fitting purposes. So thanks to the scanner, we got a lot of useful models for the project. Like, take a look at the cuffs. These are exact carbon copies of this cuff that I like, which is the inner cuff that makes the boot look more like a boot, unlike the 301, which is the outer cuff. So all I did was to take the cuff scan and push things up according to the references and turn it into a Shinkenger boot cuff. As for the pumps, like the Shinkengers iconic pump post, I didn't have to make it from scratch because I already have a very nice relaxed pump that I could do some cleanup on. And if you have some sculpting knowledge, you could modify things like adding details and move the fingers to your desired position. I mean, it looks really easy, but it took me 7 years to be able to do this. That is why, for more complicated models, I will have to rely on professional modelers like Dzackers. He's a 3D modeler for helmets of various tokusatsu franchises like Kamen Rider, Super Sentai, and Power Rangers. And he's already made a full team of Shinkenger. And I only made the ShinkenBlue, so I decided to just get his ShinkenRed and Green. You can import his models directly into any sculpting software, and I will be using ZBrush. As you can see, that is his watermark, and it comes in 3 parts: the front half, the back half, and a separate visor. His helmets look really accurate when you compare it with the images from the show, and it's made for life-size 3D printing, so you basically get the best of both worlds for the price of one, because you could just print it as is for cosplay purposes, or you can merge all the parts together and then scale it down for your figurine of any sizes. What you want to do is to fill the insides with a cylinder, dynamesh it, and that will create a complete helmet model with no hole in the middle. Then we can insert the helmet onto a 3D scan body to know how small we want to scale it down to. Compare them with one another to make sure that their sizes complement each other, and then we can subtract the neck from the helmet so that the 3D print will fit on the body, and we can print them. So that is all the digital preparations. How about the physical ones? Let's briefly talk about the sewing of the suit and the various improvements that I've made. Don't worry, I will be making a tutorial on sewing. A sentence I never thought I would say, considering how much I feared it, but here we are. Clearly, blue was not my best work. That is why I had to spend some time and money to invest in a cutter, a heat press, and a sublimation printer. These 3 things come together to elevate the sewing results because sublimations help with the patterns. The cutter cuts out the iron-on vinyl perfectly, and heat press applies the iron-on to the fabric permanently. And that is essential because I don't like the rough edges of the white strips, and apparently every company is using iron-on for this part. So I knew I had to learn how to do it right. And that also helped with the golden crest, because I used a 3D print which looks really out of place, but now it blends in so nicely with the suit. I also modified the sewing patterns to make it more of a snug fit, to get rid of all the loose fabric and creases. I also made the neck a little bit bigger, because I think this is too small. So I expanded the curve to make the overall look more proportional. And if you're wondering why I didn't mention the arm cuffs in the digital phase, that's because I replaced it with a leather version, because I feel that the 3D printed one is a little bit too restrictive and it doesn't allow the palm to move freely. And that should be all the upgrades I have done for the suit. I will be sharing more in my sewing guide. It's still so weird to say. Anyway, the prints came out really well. I used 3 different resins with different properties. Aqua 8K for regular detailed prints, RPG resin for a slight flex for the belt, and tough green resin for flexible pumps. Thanks to the scanner, we have prints that fit like a glove, like the cuffs and the boots. And speaking of gloves, yes, the palms fit really well as well. Now, I've talked about various sewing upgrades, but there are painting upgrades that I wanted to try. One thing that bothered me a lot is that the 1K clear gloss that I used on the blue helmet was not glossy enough. So I'm gonna try 2K clear gloss this time. The other thing that was bothering me was that the paints were rubbing off whenever I tried to pose the figure, as noted by the white markings on the bottom of the cuff. Coincidentally, while I was trying to figure out the glossiness of the helmet, I realized that even though the 1K clear gloss wasn't glossy enough, it does provide a nice protective surface on the helmet that doesn't scratch off. So I decided to use the 1K clear gloss on the boot cuffs, and now the paints are no longer rubbing off. So we kind of solved the issue by accident. Then I tested the 2K clear on the blue helmet, which came out really shiny. But for some reason, the red wasn't as smooth and green was the worst with severe orange peeling. So in order to save the helmets, I will probably have to sand and polish them, which is something I've not done before. So I will try it and report back with the results in another video. Now all we need to do now is to fit everything together, like the cuffs, the palms, let them hold their swords, put on their heads, and we are done. So, what do you think? I am genuinely happy with the result. I love how easy it is to fit everything together thanks to the scanner. And I know there are just so many things to talk about when it comes to making your own custom figures from scratch, but I couldn't squeeze all of them into one video because it just doesn't do them justice. So I decided to split them into separate themes. Like this one mainly focuses on the 3D scanning portion of the project, how a scanner can help you save so much time and effort, and it also serves as an update to the various upgrades that I've made. And maybe we can focus on another topic like sewing or polishing, painting, modeling when we continue to complete the rest of the team. Let me know what you think about this process focused style compared to like our usual character focused videos, since people don't really click on the characters that they don't care about. But processes are really general, and if you are a creative person, you should be interested regardless. I don't know, YouTube is so hard, and I will try my best to figure something out, and I will see you next time.